Hello, this is Matt Slocum, just trying to give you a visual as to what errors I'm experiencing trying to run Turning Point Cloud. This interface is set up very similar to Turning Point 5 that we ran last year. Unfortunately, if you've followed some of the requests in this process, 5 doesn't work with Windows 10, so we had to switch to this Turning Point Cloud, and there's a few random errors I'm running into, so I'm not sure if that's on their end or our end, but I'd like to just have a video here so you can refer to it. So one of the things that I do a lot with this is I've built PowerPoints that have formative assessments kind of built into them that you would load using this piece. So you would select like a class list that you've created, and then I'd hit none here because the content is already pre-built into a PowerPoint, and then I would open the PowerPoint and go from there. So anyways, when I click on the PowerPoint piece, and it'll open initially a piece there. You notice how Excel pops open just for a second and then it disappears, and I don't know why. So I've never seen that piece before. Maybe that's why there's an error. The other thing is in Turning Point 5, there was features loaded in this window that you could select from, and I don't notice anything in here by default. So I don't know if that's given some of the problems or what the deal is with that piece. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and open one of the PowerPoints that I attempted to use today on Oceana. And then it goes through a loading thing where it kind of opens it up. So notice how it has some of the questions from last time. And you're going to see now, I'm going to click here. If I click here, it's got kind of a, I'm clicking again to try to advance or go back to number 2, and it won't go. So now I'll hit the up arrow. Same thing again, it won't go up if I hit up to advance to slide 2. So it's like there's some stuff that it's taking a long time to load for some reason. There's just some stability issues, I don't know why. So let me go ahead and I'm going to first reset this session to get rid of some of that information. And then once that process is done, I'll try to run the clicker and just randomly hit some buttons with clickers I have so that I can replicate some of the errors I'm seeing. Another thing I'm noticing, as you're kind of seeing here, is that this process of resetting slides takes a long time. So between classes, if I were to repeat the same thing, like my intention today was to do this little review, period 7 and then period 8, when you hit reset the slides, it takes a while to go through. And then if you try to do other things while it's resetting, it's just not as stable. It kind of drags the whole system down a little bit. So what I've done is I've grabbed 4 random clickers from my set. They're the response card NXTs. So then I'm going to, once this resets, I'm going to go ahead and try to do the polling piece so that you can see some of the issues that we're running into. Okay, so it's appeared that it's reset. So now you've got the Turning Point Cloud add-in. This is the piece that allows you to add the questions and to run all of it. This is, again, something that I use all the time to formatively assess my students as I'm teaching. So I go ahead and I open this. Sometimes I have random just team questions that it allows you to have teams when you're doing the quizzes. So here's one of the team questions. To advance to the next slide, if I would just hit the right arrow, or I have a PowerPoint advancer, if I would hit advance on that, this would pop up that shows me. Now I didn't respond to any of those questions, so I'm going to go ahead and just re-pull this, and then I'm going to just hit an answer on each of these clickers so that we have some responses to go by. Okay, so now I'm going to go forward. I just did 3 this time. Okay, next. So now notice it's got a little graphic asking you which of the following is correct for what's read. I'm going to go ahead and hit a few on the clicker at this time. And I'll try to advance and see what happens. Okay, next, let's try again. Okay, if you notice now, I hit the right arrow and the response isn't coming up here. It's the count. See that delay, that little lag, and that progressively gets worse at different times. Sometimes it'll just flat out crash also. Let's go to the next one and see what happens. I'm thinking maybe it's not as bad as it is sometimes now because I only have 4 clickers running. If I had a classroom set of 27, 28, maybe it doesn't like that many more responses. I don't know. So that was fairly stable in that instance. And it seems like it's working a lot better now. So I don't know if that's time of the day kind of thing because it's after school and there's not a lot of students, or if it's just because I only have 4 students responding. Oh, now do you see how that kind of locked up? How the green is, that little box that's in the middle of the screen should have advanced all the way to D. Or excuse me, not D, it should be C is the answer in this instance. Because that green box is going to indicate what the correct answer is. So now it got there, okay? So I'm hoping that I can get the error to replicate for you so you can see what the error specifically says. But there you go. Okay. So now it says the current session contains unsaved response data. I didn't click close or anything. So I don't want that to happen now. I want to just keep going. So if I click like on here, it says PowerPoint shutting down. Please wait while Turning Point Cloud cleans up temporary files. I didn't try to close it or anything. I'm just trying to keep going. So now I'm going to hit don't save and just see like why it closed there. It shouldn't have closed because I didn't hit anything to close it. So again, let's see if it'll keep going here. See now the clickers, you can't see what I'm doing on the clickers, but I hit all the answers on the clicker, just B for all of them, even though that's the wrong answer. And now I'm trying to advance by hitting right, and I hit right probably 30 seconds ago, and that wasn't popping up at all. Let's try again. Okay, let's... Okay, notice also in this instance the little dialog box that should show how many people have responded has gone away. Notice also I hit right to advance probably 10 seconds ago when that graph first came up, and it's like it's thinking to populate the responses. So what I'll do in class is I'll see when the students respond, I can get a graphic visual of how they're doing. And if I notice a bunch of the kids are getting a question wrong, I can take a second and go back and explain what the right answer is. And if I notice everybody's getting it right, I can just move on. So I don't know why, like there should be a response that shows what the students are selecting there in that instance. So here we're on the next slide. I'm going to go ahead and hit the correct answer here for the 4 clickers that I have. Make sure that they're received. So now the clickers are telling me that it went through. I just hit the right arrow. Now let's see how long of a delay this is. Okay, let's hit another right arrow. So notice now it's still not telling me which student selected which option, but it does give me the correct answer indicator fairly quickly here. So it won't transfer team scores over either. I'm just going to keep going here real quick and see if I can get it to crash again. I want to see that error message. So now I'm hitting right a few times and nothing's happening. So notice here now I can't get the mouse to respond either. So it's kind of locked up. There, now it comes in. So that, it seems to be sort of random. I don't know why it's doing that. And it'll work for a while and then it won't work. Again, sometimes I'll get that error message as well. Okay, and again, I'm just going to keep doing this because I want you to see what it looks like at the end. Notice again, I don't know if you can hear me hitting right. Nothing's happening here. So it should advance to the next slide or load the other things. It's like there's something going on that's making it delay the response piece. So here again, okay, there we go. Notice also the bar graphs aren't populating when people answer. So after I go to each slide, I'm just hitting each of the 4 clickers I have in front of me just to kind of see what happens. So now it loaded fairly quickly. Still didn't populate the answers. So this should populate so that you can see which students have responded in which way. Hitting the answers again. Still didn't populate the PowerPoint. Okay, again, I just want to get all the way to the end so I can show you one of the pieces that is especially concerning to me. So again, everything I'm seeing on the clickers appears to be working correct. I still see the ... check mark below the answer, which is supposed to indicate that it's being received. But there's just, again, these inconsistent errors that I am finding. Should only be a couple more questions left here. And the clickers again. Okay, see, I'm hitting right a number of times and nothing happens. And then now I'm not hitting anything. Let's just wait and see if it loads. Still not hitting anything. Still not hitting anything. But I did hit right already a few times. Okay, let's try again. Now it went when I hit it right there. Okay, so there's the team scores. Again, that doesn't transfer, doesn't show the participant leaders either. And then now we're done. Okay, so now I would usually save this session. So this gives me data in terms of how my students are doing, so I can look back and track that, which is what the school district wants us to do this year, especially with the formative assessment piece and PLCs. So now I'm trying to save it as a new session, and then notice nothing comes up. Usually when I would hit this save as a new session, a window would pop up that says, what do you want to name the file? And then you could name the file something and save it. So I don't see that piece. Again, I don't know if this has something to do with the instance of how Excel loads for just a second there, or what's going on. But so it's not letting me save a new session. Let me try to just hit save session and see what comes up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this and see what goes on, see what happens. I'll go ahead and save that. See. So now, the piece that's really powerful in this also, when it's working typically, is it allows you to select the class that you did. So this was period 2 was the one I was using for an example, and hit results manager. And then it would give you how students are doing in specific instances. Now, this has some quizzes we've done or tests we've done, but notice the session that I just did is not in here. So I don't know what's going on specifically in this instance. But the instability